Hello. It's no secret that right now we're living at a time of a lot of polarization and anger and frustration and even violence at times regarding matters of racial justice and the conduct of police in the United States. And a lot of us are concerned about that, and we're trying to have helpful conversations, but a lot of times that doesn't really work out. And I've noticed that there seem to be a lot of times that we are misunderstanding each other, that we're talking past each other and not really communicating well. And I think one of the things that's leading to a lot of confusion and a lot of mistrust centers around three words: Black Lives Matter. That phrase has been with us for a few years and is constantly at the center of difficult discussions. And so what I've noticed is that when people say Black Lives Matter, they post this, and other people have reactions to that, there seem to be these two reactions that certain people have. When there are those who say, how can you support that? And there are other people who say, how can you not support that? And they can't seem to understand one another, and and why they would say what they do or why they would post what they do. And I think we're talking past each other and leading to greater polarization. So let me suggest something that I think might be helpful. I really think that there are sort of two movements going on right now that we can differentiate. First, there is the people who are saying Black Lives Matter. And by that, what they're saying is simply the lives of Black people matter, right? That Black people should be treated with the same dignity, the same respect for their rights as any other group in society, right? That the lives of Black people are important, just as important as any others, and they need to be respected, and we need to work to that sort of equality of treatment. And who could disagree with that, right? I mean, there are some douchebags out there who might, am I allowed to say douchebags? But for the most part, we recognize that, yeah, we're all on board with that. And then there are also the folks who say Black Lives Matter, who are really talking about a quasi political organization, right? There's this sort of decentralized network around the country of Black Lives Matter. And this organization has specific policy agendas, right? In addition to making the observation about the equal rights of Black people in the United States, it also has certain policy agendas that it wants to advance. And so very often these are associated with reparations, the defunding of police, sometimes a moratorium on rent and utilities for certain people. There are certain critiques of capitalism that go along with this. And there's also a specific narrative about race relations and police conduct that is part of this larger decentralized network of political activists that we can call Black Lives Matter. What I think would be helpful, and this is the point of this video, what I think would be helpful is if we could differentiate these two and talk about the former as Black Lives Matter simply with a lowercase BLM. And so when people are talking about Black Lives Matter, and their point that they want to make is that I want to advocate and fight and do what I can to make sure that Black people are treated with the same quality and dignity as other groups, then yeah, Black Lives Matter, but we're talking about that with lowercase BLM. And if we are talking about this, this network, this political network that has specific agenda items, then we're really talking about capital BLM, Black Lives Matter. And so when you put this on your Facebook with or without your hashtag, we can differentiate what we're talking about in this sense, because there's a lot of people who are on board with the former, right? Most people in the United States are saying, yeah, Black Lives Matter, right? And so they need to be treated well, but I'm not sure that I really want to get on board with all of those other items. Maybe I don't support the defunding of the police. Maybe I don't accept all of this narrative. And there's also the fact that Black Lives Matter as a political entity is becoming associated with even more extreme positions. And whether these are justified or not, you can look into yourself. But I think that there are a lot of people out there who are advocating for the former who don't really want to get on board with the larger political agenda. And that's up to them. And we can have our disagreements and discussions about that. But when we can differentiate these two, I think it's helpful. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, is this really important? Is this just, one of those needless academic categorizations, the sort of thing that nerdy college professors dream up in their summers because they have nothing better to do? Well, in part, yes. But I do think that there really is something that could be beneficial from this. And so if your experiences are like mine, there are people who are getting frustrated with one another, family members, friends, in person, on social media, because they are thinking, how can you support that, right? How can you support that agenda? And by that, they often mean this political agenda, which they think goes too far. And the other folks who are saying, how can you not support this? How can you not, fight for the principle that all people should be treated equally, and that they all have these equal rights that should be respected? But if we could differentiate these categories, at least we'd be able to communicate with each other a little bit more effectively. And I think that that could be helpful. But I think there's going to be a real problem when students return to college campuses this fall. When Black Lives Matter returns to campuses, there are going to be some problems. And what I mean is not that that the students who are part of this movement are a problem, right? You can have your opinions one way or the other. What I mean is I don't think that the campuses are ready to engage this conversation fruitfully. And there's going to be confusion as a result. And what I'm thinking about is you already have college presidents and administrators communicating to their campus communities. We support, we embrace, we affirm Black Lives Matter. And so there are people thinking, wait, what do you mean by that? Is the campus saying the former, right, this lowercase BLM, we affirm that Black people deserve the same dignity and rights and equal protection under the law as any others, and we're going to advocate for that, okay? Or are they saying we are supporting this political network and its policy agendas? And it's not clear. And those two positions can become muddled, right? And so I think that we need to be careful about how we talk about that, because if it's communicated that our campus affirms Black Lives Matter and it's associated with the capital BLM political agenda or political organization, well, then are students or faculty or staff or administration permitted to critique this political agenda? Is this the official position of the university? Can speakers be invited in who are critical of Black Lives Matter as a political organization and its policy agendas? And so if you're a student and you disagree, do you have to keep your opinion to yourself because you are at odds with the official position of the university? And so I think universities need to be clear what they're talking about. And maybe this differentiation simply of capital letters and lowercase letters is a helpful way to go with regard to this. I think that what we all know right now is that things are getting difficult, they're getting polarized, they're getting nasty. And one of the most important ways that we can try to regain a helpful direction in our society is through communication. People talking with one another, talking with people different than one another, coming from different perspectives and backgrounds and understanding one another. They don't have to agree, but if they can understand each other. But if people are using words and phrases differently, if they can't understand how another person is using a word or phrase, that's going to stand in the way of communication. So I'll leave my suggestion up to you. If you think this is a helpful suggestion, great, maybe try it out. Maybe pass on this video to other people that you think would benefit from hearing it. If you think that this is just a silly categorization by an academic who has nothing better to do in his summer than fuss about punctuation, so be it. Anyway, whoever you are, wherever you are, things are difficult right now, but remember to be kind to each other. Thank you.